Greetings, flesh creatures. It is I, Megatron. On behalf of TFYLP, I want to congratulate you for listening to the most refined collective podcast on this miserable little planet Earth. Yes. Here you'll find knowledgeable fans discussing every aspect of Transformers and beyond. Now, enjoy the show while I continue my path to complete conquest of all of you miserable biological entities. Predacons, terrorize!
Hi, welcome to TFYLP. We are live tonight. It is Wednesday, what's the date? The 6th of September. We got, what is it, episode 543, I think?
Maybe? 543 episodes.
That's
all
crazy.
In English.
Well, I can't confirm that myself. But, there may be some ones before that were in another language. I don't know. But anyway, I'm Lucas. I am joined tonight by Rick.
Hello!
And Peter.
Forever Dust Tron.
And Rob.
Hi.
We may have a Jim here later on here in a few minutes, but yeah, so here we are.
So what are we talking about tonight, Lucas? That was so important that you had to have me on the show.
I don't know what you're talking about, Rick. I just said, hey, do you want to be on the show? You haven't been on for a while. And you said, oh, sure thing.
No, but, I said 10 o'clock at night is way too late for me because I'm an old man. And I have at least 2 kids that I know of.
Yeah.
What's-her-face has to get up to be on the bus at 6:25.
Sounds like a what's-her-face's problem.
Right. How does this impact you?
You got to
get One of my kids has to get up at 4:50 in the morning to catch the bus because he has to go to a transfer station to go to his fancy pants school, and I'm not driving him. So wake up.
Yeah, one of my other kid has to get up a half hour before she goes to bed. Brutal.
Okay.
She has to walk upstairs to her room in the snow both ways.
She walks uphill to school both ways.
Lucy lucked out. One of her neighbor friends drives their kid to school, and so their mom and Amanda, they swap out who takes the kids, and that way, because otherwise it would be a similar thing for Lucy, even though her school's really close. It's like, well, you got to get up like an hour earlier. So she already has to get up pretty early anyways. But although, for what it's worth, like by the time she was in like 2nd grade, we had trained her to take care of herself in the morning and get out on her own.
Welcome to TFYLP Kids Edition.
We're all old. We're all old, and these are the things that consume our lives. So deal with it.
Do they play with Transformers at the bus stop is the question.
Nope.
No, my kids use their phone.
Yeah, right.
They're on Tinder or I don't know, MySpace,
I hope
whatever.
Not.
Whatever kids are using these days, I don't know.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know how it is in y'all's kids, but like social media isn't a big thing with the kids around here at all.
They're using they're listening to Trainer Smith songs and I don't know, Britney, I guess. I don't know.
I think how my kid just has like a big group text thread.
That's what they have.
Posting. Yeah.
They have a group MMS and they're just constantly texting. Well, not constantly, but it goes in waves.
Or my daughter FaceTimes her friends while she gets ready in the morning.
I did. Nothing like
anyway,
FaceTiming your friend.
Are we talking Transformers tonight?
So tonight's topic was supposed to be about Transformers aesthetics. Mainly because I was curious what you guys thought about the new direction of Hasbro, the recent, over the last year or two, the direction that they've went in with their stuff. But then, of course, we can also wrap in, other lines, third party and Masterpiece and such as well. into the discussion. So
for a second, I thought you said Transformers versus FedEx. And I thought there was some kind of crossover that I missed that I didn't know about.
That could be. I
mean, they could make a van. They totally could do like the FedEx van truck thingy.
Right.
Yeah.
And Mattel will do Brown Man. What can Brown do for you? And it'll be the UPS driver or Ups Man.
Yeah. Terrible slogan.
Well, we did just have a Transformers crossover announced on Transformers Tuesday, which was Frankenstein, I guess, right? From the Impactor mold.
From the Dark Universe is coming to Transformers.
I mean, I assume that went with Dracula, right? Because it's the Universal Monsters. It's the next one in that, even though that was like, 2 years ago or something?
Right.
I don't know. Maybe it was 3 months. I don't know. Somewhere in there.
Yeah, in 2 years we'll get the creature from the Cyber Lagoon.
So, do you think for the Mummy mold, will they reuse this mold again? Just pump it out another time?
If the day ends in Y.
I am so pissed that they broke out that fucking mold again. It's such trash.
That's going to be the bride of Frankenbot.
Yeah.
Like, I think
they just want to do anything to never use it as Quake. It would work really well as Quake. They don't want it to be Quake, so we just end up with nothing. No Quake.
Which mold are you talking about? The one that they're doing, the Impactor mold?
Yeah, the Impactor mold.
We were talking about the terrible bot Lucas held up.
Yeah,
that's why I was confused for a second. I was like,
that
would not be a good Quake.
No, that's not a good Quake. That would be a good rung, though.
Yes,
that'd be a good piece of trash.
You know,
it's a trash mold.
Never say never, man. Hey, we've got masterpiece skids, so never say never.
Yeah, but
no.
Yeah.
Anything and everything is on the table. Every character is a possibility now.
Yay, movie skids and mudflap.
Except them.
For what it's
Although
worth,
I do kind of want them in the movie line just to complete the thing. I mean, we got Jolt.
Yeah, where's Masterpiece NPM Jolt? When's that happening?
No, hey, never say never, man.
Never say never.
Never say never.
So yeah, where do we want to start?
Who's gonna start off?
So I guess Rob, like you probably don't even care about any of the Hasbro stuff, right? But
I have opinions on everything.
So it seemed like for a while they were really trying to be as screen accurate as possible, and of course they saw the Studio Series line that they're somewhat doing that, but a lot of the figures that we're getting now are slight retools of G1 figures that they originally imagined for G1, and so we're getting animated and prime figures and things like that where they're not really accurate to the original figures, but because they're doing this mismatch kind of thing, it does fit in with the G1 figures so that, you can kind of imagine they're in a similar universe or the same universe.
Yeah.
And so that's why I was just wondering what you guys thought about that. I really ideally would want Christian on to answer that too, but he's on vacation.
But
so
isn't that what Generations is? Isn't that what Generations started off when you think about the first handful of figures we got for Generation?
Yeah, but that was like
Hot Rod.
15 years ago. No one cares about what it originally meant.
They were inspired by. They weren't supposed to be accurate. I mean, if you want accuracy, that's what we have the movie line for, right? The movie line, best depiction of cartoon or film, right? Generations line is the embodiment of the brand. It's the essence of the brand. It's not meant to be a straight-on interpretation of anything. Now, some come a lot closer to what we've seen as far as on-screen appearances, sure. But can anyone here point to, lump it all in, Chug, Generation, Legacy, all those things, they've been rebranded a million times. Lump them all in. Can anyone point to a single figure and say that's exactly how it should look, and they'll never be able to improve it?
I mean, I think that question is dishonest. I mean, because
honest.
Yeah.
There's
like,
well,
I think you have the answer you want, and so you're phrasing a question to get somebody to parrot back what you want to hear.
No, because I was going to surprise everyone and say there is one character. There's one character who defies the odds. There's always one.
Well,
Blaster.
I mean, everything can always get better.
Can you
everything
find
can always be
something wrong
improved
with that figure?
Which one? The Generations figure, you're saying?
Yeah. I mean,
it could be less hollow.
I mean, and he got a redeco, so I mean, pick your poison.
Yeah. So
running change variant meant that there was some room for improvement one direction or another. We've got multiple head options if you prefer comic or cartoon. If you want optic options or visor options. If you like, I mean, you can nitpick anything you want. Nothing. Aesthetics is such a broad thing to begin with. I wasn't sure what we were going to be getting into when approached with this topic. Because I've seen a meme recently. I don't know if it was shared by TFcon or someone, or reshared somewhere, where it was like Gen 1 was boxes, and it was a pile of literal boxes, and I forget, animated was all these really big chins and things, and everything's just hard shapes. IDW was very realistic body shapes, and then movie stuff was literally a pile of junk. It was a pile of metal in a junkyard. And I thought we might be getting into that.
That's what I wasn't sure if you were, to be honest.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you were being inspired by that meme, if you'd seen it, Lucas. But to your point, to Rick's point, we can nitpick anything. Some things, there are a lot of people that I see in groups and whatnot that think X version of so-and-so is the perfect version for them, and they never need to have an improvement. They don't need to buy that character again. Dirge. Look at Ultimate Dirge or Ultimate whatever. And for them, that's great. I always harp on the incremental improvements because I always find something to nitpick because I'm a negative Nancy. But,
I mean, did we have this argument when Fortress Maximus came out? Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. The Japanese version had the wrong shin color, or the right shin color, but then it was, it wasn't in English for those who care about that sort of thing. The San Diego version was wrong. The retail version was wrong. I can find things that are wrong with it. The aesthetics were displeasing to me, so I had to buy the Japanese version.
A mode, right? Isn't the Titan Fort Max missing a mode completely? He doesn't do the city mode correctly or something?
His legs don't move right.
Yeah.
He is wrong.
It's
aesthetically incorrect.
Listen, if you like the G1 version, then that's the one for you, right? But
it's not.
Here's the thing now. We're getting Missing Link. So I kind of feel that I don't know. I think I set myself up for failure with this whole Fort Max argument.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. One of the big glaring problems.
Hi, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
We could technically see Missing Link Fort Max. Never say never.
I would like
and
that.
I'll buy it. Yeah.
What the hell is Missing Link Fort Max? What?
No, it doesn't exist yet. But Missing Link Prime is the Generation 1 Prime with the extra articulation. His hands don't come off.
Got it.
Yeah,
that's the line.
It's the one where you click on the pre-order link and get a 404 error.
Yeah.
I ordered from Amazon Japan, so I didn't get 404.
The real number is 912 if you have an emergency.
But potentially, Rick is right. We could see a Missing Link Fort Max, and that could make all of my little little Peter Brain dreams come true.
And what I mean, Missing Link to me, it's 10 years too late because they had that technology 10 years ago. But
I feel like it's what people have been asking for a long time. And like you said, maybe for some people the moment has passed, but I definitely remember when third parties started hitting the scene. Like people are like, man, I wish somebody would just like make G1 Bumblebee but make it articulated. And then iGear did it. And those toys have issues, but that was the vein. A lot of what iGear did was supposed to like sit in your G1 collection. iGear's problems and Impossible Toys. Maybe that was it.
Impossible Toys. It was Impossible Toys.
Like they had issues, but they did a lot of unique stuff. So I respected them for that. And I really liked the pieces they made because no one else made it. No one else is going to make it. But a lot of people were like, man, I would love to have G1 toys just with more articulation. And I don't think the line will ever get to 4 max or honestly anything probably beyond 10 characters if we're lucky. But,
never say
never though.
I mean, look at where we are with Masterpiece, right? Look at where we are with RC. We have so many RCs. We're sick of getting RC figures. We even have a Headmaster RC figure.
Yep.
It literally broke Dom. And he went and he got married. That's how many RCs.
Married to a different podcast. That's what he got married to and abandoned us. That hussy. Straight up hussy. Like to your original question, Lucas, and a bit to what Rick's saying, like I think things can always be improved. You can always get more and more screen accurate. But I don't know. I find the new stuff that is like, hey, we're going to take stuff from other lines and like envision it as G1 or whatever. I think the idea in itself is cool, but it just has zero appeal to me. Like if you want to do an animated character, it needs to be in the animated style, or else I just don't care.
But then we're retreading where we've already been.
Correct. I mean, I don't have an answer for it. Like I don't have a lot of desire for mainline stuff, to be clear. Like I understand the place they're in. Because I don't think they said, hey, it would be cool if we did this. I think they said, shit, what can we do now? And I honestly think it's kind of like desperation. I think they feel like they have to have nostalgia. Things have to have a hook. Sometimes people complain about getting the same character over and over again. But you release a new character and a lot of it sells worse overall, It's
40th anniversary right around the corner. That's what this is for Missing Link. So that's why we're getting those, because by the 50th anniversary, everyone on the screen right now is going to be dead.
Pretty much.
So they don't want to wait.
They
don't want to wait for 50, so they got to get that last milk dollar out of us before we all croak. So
the question is, will they have announced Masterpiece Cliff Jumper by then or not?
No, they'll just be that green test shot floating around. I love you guys. I don't want any of us to die. To be clear.
Yeah, it's with the pink Walmart hot rod.
But
that got released. Hard. Just not at Walmart.
No, the non G1 version.
Oh, the Velocitron one. Yeah.
Well, the thing that's hard is that when you go back to like Transformers Animated and Prime, like those original figures were pretty darn good.
And they still are.
And and they're still good. So it's like, well, how do they actually make a better version of that? And the other thing is for the Generations line, everyone's been complaining, like you do too much G1, we we want non-G1 stuff. And so they're like, all right, here you go. And then you're like, wait, no, not like that.
To be clear, I'm not complaining about any of it. I just think they have very little to offer me on the main line these days. And I don't think there's not much they can do to change that for me. But that's why I'm fiddling here with the G2 stuff. The G2 stuff, that's a way to get me to buy mainline. Because these are weird, wacky, random things. And sign me up. Like I don't necessarily want to spend, whatever a Masterpiece Grimlock would cost in Tiger Stripe colors. I'm not saying I wouldn't do it, but I'm very content for that, to get it in a chug style instead.
But there's a lot of great characters that came after G1. So
and I already have those toys.
Bulkhead, Lockdown. how do we honor those characters? They
honor. It's a fucking toy line.
I mean, how do we service those characters? Right? I think it's very appropriate to bring in those characters from other lines into a Generation-esque multiverse line.
I think if there was fiction to go with it, it would make a lot more sense.
And there's nothing to say that they won't show up in fiction. I know IDW with their reboot and various other ventures were trying to, like the Minerva was in that Wreckers comic toward the end of IDW, looking just like she does from the Walgreens release. So there's nothing to say. And, obviously Cascade and other from Tupac. I don't know.
Javelin.
So thank you, Javelin.
I was thinking Electrosol.
Close enough.
All right. I did have a thought on this though. As you guys were talking. Can you hear me? Okay, I'm trying to.
Yeah, you're good.
Not too loud. Okay, cool.
Good.
All right. My thought is like you mentioned, Transformers Animated or Transformers Prime, which two factors that I'm glad they're given kind of the chug aesthetic to. The noses and the chins. The noses are back and the chins are under control. However, as I was listening, it occurred to me, this isn't a new thing that they're doing by shoehorning these radically different aesthetics into your standard, classics G1-y looking thing. The first line they did this to was in fact Generation 1. Look at G1 Ironhide, Ratchet, and so many others that look nothing like the original toys. They made them into how they appeared in the cartoon series, the Sunbow cartoon series. You go to the store back 40 years ago, you didn't see what you saw on the show. You saw something similar, but the toys looked radically different. Like Ironhide and Ratchet didn't even have official heads other than like a sticker.
Jim, you might have hit on something there. What happens when we get Missing Link, Ratchet, and Ironhide?
Missing head?
Do they?
I want all new
head
molds.
Or not the head?
What if they do full new molds that are kind of like clunky mini masterpieces for Missing Link, Ironhide, and Ratchet?
I don't know what you would do
honestly,
that would work.
Honestly, I wouldn't be.
When I was 10,
wouldn't be entirely upset if they took the Ironhide and Ratchet and gave it a little bit of a movie feel for the faces. Since the Bayverse Ironhide and Ratchet, are a little similar to like the face stickers anyway, just in the overall design. They got like a little mustachy looking thing on Ratchet.
When I was 10, I drew a picture of Ironhide and how he would transform if he was correct. Now this was after the cartoon had been off the TV for a couple of years. This is when Action Masters were out, and I mailed it to the address that I found on one of the pamphlets. Like mail away for Hubcap and Cosmos and Thundercracker and stuff. And I sent it to Hasbro, and obviously no response from that. I also tried to order Megatron like 4 years after the expiration date, and they sent me a nice letter saying, "Hey, yeah, no," because you could still order Megatron in like 1986. So, but it expired in 87. Yeah. I sent it off in 90 or 91. So they said, "Hey, yeah, no," and then similarly, I drew a picture of Krang's android body and sent that to the address that I found on the back of a Turtles box. And I told kids after the Krang's android body was released that I sent them that design. And kids are dumb, and they believed me.
And they're liars.
Yeah,
they're dumb and they're liars, and they believe each other's lies.
Party.
So why did you put Krang there? Of all the places in the robot.
Oh no! I mean, I'd already seen him on the cartoon. I'd already seen him. I just, oh, now you're muted. Now you went away.
Am I?
No.
Oh, now you're back.
Oh, okay.
I get
it.
Into a Missing Link night, because now I'm thinking about Missing Link, and I'm thinking there's going to be a combiner.
I think you're way overthinking it. I think this is a one shot, and if it does well, maybe they'll do a second shot and a third
They've
shot.
already announced. They've already shown pictures of the second figure.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I think they've had plenty of stuff that doesn't go beyond Megatron and Prime.
I mean, that's what Masterpiece was. We got Optimus, and then we got White Optimus, and then we got Black Optimus, and then we got Optimus again, and then we got Optimus with short stacks. Optimus without short stack, with short stacks but battle damage, with a stand, without a stand. And it took a while, but then we got Starscream, or what we think is Starscream.
It definitely took them a while to land on Masterpiece. It really bounced around for several years before they figured out what they wanted it to be, and then they started honing in on it over the years, and that continues. But
yeah, it's evolved, and now it's an animated line. G1 animated.
So what is it? What is it that they've shown for the second figure, Rick?
Oh, they've shown we've seen the pictures of Megatron.
Have we now?
Yep.
Well, is
that I was thinking that was a Photoshop.
Legit? I think that was the question.
I wasn't sure on that one.
I wasn't aware if there was an issue. If there's an issue of it not being legit, I didn't know that.
Well,
I mean, if it is, that'd be fantastic.
The question is whether or not it was a leaked photo, or if someone was really good at Photoshop.
It's always a grainy photo taken on a flip phone from 2001. So
I thought we had clear images of it though.
Ron is saying it was Photoshop.
Oh, all right, well.
Yeah, just like that Optimus
Ron
and
is
Scourge 2-pack for Studio Series.
Is Ron even real?
Ron's not real. Ron works for Mattel. So.
I get that they need somewhere to take the Generations line, and they need something to do. I do think they can also just keep retreading out the same 84 to 86 characters, and then mix in other stuff all day till the cows come home. Because at the end of the day, us old fans see it as here's another Optimus Prime, but there's always somebody that's like, man, finally I get a chance to buy a cool looking Prime because I missed it when it was on the shelves 3 years ago, or 5 years ago, or 7 years ago.
And you know what? He-Man's doing the same thing right now. He-Man is taking the vintage figures and adding more articulation.
Mm-hmm. They are.
Well, I feel like with the Generation line specifically, like, they're not going to make their own tools for, whatever, like Unicron trilogy figures and all that, like, it's always going to be a partial retool from something else. Like, it's just,
I don't think
the question is that
fair.
I don't think that's right. I mean, look at look at all the Armada figures we've gotten, and the Cybertron,
Hotshot, Starscream, the Big Pants Prime, Megatron.
Yeah,
they're doing it. They're doing it. It definitely has taken a long time, and they definitely homage them through repaints and retools a lot early on. I think as time goes on, we'll get a lot more and more unique molds.
Right.
Yeah, that first Armada Megatron was pretty iffy.
If they could take a break and just leave seasons 1 through 3 of G1 alone for a little while and just move on with life, there are so many other areas that they could delve into that would give us some fascinating figures.
But would it sell?
I'm thinking, right. Who's to say? But what I'm thinking is if they go into some of the subgroups and special teams, you could do the Omnibots, the Spy Changers. If they want to do a combiner, they could do Landcross or something similar. I mean, if they did Spy Changers, they could repurpose them into the G2 GoBots and so on and so forth. Like we've got with the Toxitron thing, they did the laser cycle jazz and then the orange jazz. So I mean,
the problem is like all of us would love stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the average person doesn't care at all, and they don't know who the Omnibots are. And so, we're lucky to get that kind of stuff, but I don't.
I these days, I'm not going to try to predict what will and won't sell. Like, to me, it's an honest question of would people buy it? I don't know, but like, look at the G2, the Toxitron wave or whatever they called it. Like, a lot of that stuff's hard to find.
Mm-hmm.
And it's obviously,
but there's also a lot of speculators.
There's less what?
There's a lot of speculators who are just
Oh.
they're just buying everything, and they see the hype in groups and they see the hype
Yeah.
online, and they're like, I better get out there and get it and scalp the shit out of it. And then, oh wait, it didn't sell. I'll sell it at a loss at TFcon and grumble about it.
Yeah, I never saw the second wave of Velocitron. It went right to Toxitron.
So I mean, it's
Never
just
saw it in
I
stores.
think at the end of the day, they're obviously still underproducing for demand on some of that stuff. You know, which means it's hard to narrow in. You know, and that's the age old. They're like, oh look, such and such shelf warmed. It was a shitty toy. And it's like, no, they just made 10 billion of them, and it actually sold extremely fucking well. It's just they made 10 billion of them. You know, they made their money. They didn't care. It was a prime toy, right?
I mean,
You know,
the minimum.
we never know.
When I was there, you know, we're going back 10 years. But when I was there, the minimum regular retail, not exclusives, the minimum number you would produce is 10 million. The very minimum.
That's a couple.
And they were all Bumblebee, right?
Yeah, Bumblebee. We're gonna make 30 million. 30 million deluxe Bumblebee. Give him a black stripe. Make another 30 million. Put a new sticker on it. Make another. Make it 40.
I think at the end of the day, like what they release is iterative based on trends, right? You know, like they're going to continue to take kind of small notches and check out new areas, but they can't just all of a sudden be like, I mean, I think it would be interesting if they could, as you were suggesting, just do something different for a few years. And then, you know, they would circle back to it and everyone would be hype AF, right? As the kids say. But I don't, if I was the one writing people's checks, you know, like, would I be willing to take that risk? Probably not. Most businesses are pretty, especially established businesses, are pretty risk averse to stuff like that. So instead, you trickle in some Unicron trilogy. How does that do? How does that do? You know, and you kind of guide along.
Yeah.
But the biggest reason they won't do what you did, what you suggested, Jim, is because if they focused on subgroups, that means they would finish subgroups. And Hasbro is extremely allergic to that these days, and has been for at least a decade, if not longer.
We're gonna get we got a full set of Micromasters coming once we get
Yeah, but I mean,
Saurus.
yeah.
So
But I mean, some of these subgroups are ones that remain untouched, like since the initial incarnation. Right? Like we've never seen another Rev or Wars.
There are no subgroups, only characters. All right.
Oh,
Case in point, we got Generations Onslaught. It didn't combine to anything. There weren't any other Combaticons. Onslaught exists on his own. These characters all exist outside of subgroups.
Which
we
should.
might get a Cindersaur, and then, you know what? Except for the Dinobots and the Insecticons. There apparently is a rule. If you make one, you got to make them all.
No, it isn't. I mean, now we've been better with Dinobots lately, but like even the Insecticons, like the first 3 Insecticons we got were all in completely different lines and aesthetics and sizes. And now in Legacy, they're actually like, hey, we'll do those 3 again for you within a 5-year span.
Yeah.
We'll do you a solid.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know why they're so averse to it though. I mean, I would love it if they would like just stuff like the Headmaster Juniors, you know, and the Decepticon Headmaster Juniors and the Target Masters. Like we've gotten some of them here and there, right? Like one here, one there. And they fit on the chug shelf together, but it's just like, I'll just do the trio, man.
You know what? It'd be great if there was a whole line of Headmaster toys, right?
But they didn't do all the Headmasters. Well, they did a lot of them.
Instead of putting characters like Blur or Cup in there, we put characters like, I don't know, Siren, maybe.
Tab.
Yeah.
Nightbeat.
Tab in there. Why not?
Oh, wait.
Oh, wait. You know what?
And
put Ranger in there too. He wasn't a head. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He's a head.
Power Masters.
None of these characters were headmasters, but they're all headmasters now.
But
it's
see,
just a weird way.
All these characters in there as headmaster, or you know, even though they weren't headmasters, but like we hadn't gotten a Cup in a while, we hadn't gotten a Blaster in a while, we hadn't gotten Perceptor in a while, all that type of thing. And so people like me or suckers are like, oh, well, like, this is the best version. And then they a couple years later, they're like, oh, hey, do you actually want one that's actually more accurate and is not a headmaster? Here's your iterative improvement.
I mean, I think I've mentioned beforehand, like, I'm okay with that these days, at least like for the Masterpiece stuff. Something a little better comes out. Cool, I've had my time with the old figure, but that's because it comes out a lot slower than Hasbro product.
Right.
So it's like I was showing earlier, I got the Masterpiece Overdrive. I always get their names mixed up. I don't think there's going to be an iterative version of him anytime soon. But that's a little bit more of the edge case. A lot of stuff I get often lately, does replace something else I've had out there, but I'm fine with it at this point.
Well, like when Rick brings up too. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. You go.
Well, I was gonna say Rick brings up about how old generations wasn't accurate, but like that was the first time that we were getting refreshes of those characters in years, so they could throw anything out there and say, "Here's your Springer," but like it's not accurate or just whatever it may be, and we would take it because it's the first version that we've gotten in years. And the same thing with third party. Whether or not third party did that, because it was easier to just do retools or repaints or whatever figures rather than giving us something accurate, or if they were just worried that like Hasbro would come out after them if it was too accurate. And so like they were releasing them more in that aesthetic. Like, you look at MMC back in the day. I mean, how many repaints did they have? I mean, they still do that, but it's not as bad as what it was.
All right.
Well, they also went on that tirade where like they photoshopped repaints and retools of their images of their toys all the time, like as like half joking, but like unless you're into it,
Yeah, it's like a test market.
Yeah. It got excessive.
And then, of course, everyone has to make a Predaking.
Of course.
You can't really call yourself a third party if you haven't made a Predaking.
There's not a lot of Predakings. We had a lot at that one Chug era, but we haven't really had shit for Masterpiece. I don't consider
there's a ton
of toys as a Masterpiece one.
Third party Predakings. There's more than enough. There's as many as mainline RCs.
But yeah, Rob, that's the thing that's funny is that like you take someone like Predaking, right? Like we haven't really gotten a accurate version of that. Same thing with Devastator as well. That there's not a cartoon accurate Devastator in Masterpiece.
Those are coming at least. Those are coming at least now.
Yeah.
Well, MMC and XTB are both. MMC and XTB are both working on cartoon accurate Devastators.
And in 10 years we'll have them.
Hey, 6.5. And then in 10 years, maybe the first one from Vectron Labs will release. But
is there still a market for yet another Devastator, though?
There is for the Masterpiece. Absolutely it is, because there is no accurate one. The stuff we have is all based on
I think back to all the ones we've had. What was it? The Hercules years ago, and then
that was the first one.
Minor Wars. And all these other incarnations. I mean, it got to the point where they redecoed the G1 as Tonkatron and had them as Tonka vehicles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, got that over.
And I'm just wondering if, as much as I love Devastator and the Constructicons, I mean, my favorite was Bone Crusher, but I'm wondering if it's time to move on from that team. I mean, heck, throw Rail Racer or somebody at us.
Hey, we're getting a Masterpiece Raiden. Who would have ever thought that?
Yeah.
Whoever would have thought that the first Masterpiece
I do have to credit him for that.
Would be Raiden.
And whoever would have thought that it would be so terrible aesthetically.
I mean,
so bad.
Listen, it's their first one.
That's true.
It's their first one.
The fact that we're getting Raiden, and the fact that the Legacy has been delving into Diaclone. I'm sorry, Raiden, and that Legacy has been delving into Diaclone here and there. Who's to say the next combiner won't be Mr. Hardhat?
I don't know that reference.
And then Devastator.
I want Mr. Hardhat.
All right,
I'm still waiting for a Big Red.
Yeah.
Big Red showed up in the
They could do
3D pop-up
they could do
book.
a crossover. They could do a crossover for next year's release and partner up with the chewing gum.
That's right. They'll do a Big Red crossover with Big Red gum.
That
Just a little
Frankentron they
longer
revealed though.
with Big Red.
Who saw that one coming?
Transforms a little longer, yeah. Wow.
Frankentron. It looks nothing like Peter Boyle at all.
So
I do
we have
appreciate that Ron has Masterpiece riding.
That's accurate. It's
Put it
it's
on the
MPG.
Ritz.
It's
so there's
MPG.
stuff like this, right?
Yes.
Which is the Volvo Optimus Prime.
Mm.
All right. Where does this stuff fit then? Where on your shelf is this supposed to go?
Sure,
On your
on the
oddity shelf.
Well, you
Yeah,
know
or your
what? I
Optimus
guess
shelf.
we have enough crossover stuff now that we can make a crossover section.
I have a crossovers tote. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
completely honest with you, that Volvo Prime confused me. That and its initial release as the holiday, it's like I would have thought that would have been more for like the G2 Hero Optimus.
Right.
And then we've also got what was it, a lunar rover now as well.
Right. And a
I
camera
mean-
Optimus.
What even?
I think it was
forgot about
really
the camera.
expensive, yeah, and looked
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah, well, the camera Optimus, do I have it here? It was actually a pretty fun toy.
Was it?
Yeah, it was
That's
pretty
something.
good.
It's just weird that you do a camera transformer and you don't call it reflector. You know, I think it just more shows like they're not willing to take risks on
Well,
oddities.
they did a
Throw Prime on it. Throw
There is
Prime.
a
Didn't they
reflector
do a-
version of it, though.
There is a
well, they
reflector.
did a reflector too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Then why'd they make a Prime version at all?
Because they knew a Prime would sell.
Yeah, this is a Prime version.
Exactly. Yeah.
Get that money.
Yeah.
Well, Rick,
Built
where
with
does
this.
the GI Joe Transformers fit on your shelf?
You know
that
what?
crossover, or is
I
that its
have
own
been
shelf?
waiting for, and I think we're finally at the point where I've got the DeLorean, I've got the Ghostbusters, I've got the Dracula, I've got the Tonka bots, I've got the camera bots. That I'm just going to do a cut the tape where I open all the crossovers. I haven't opened a single GI Joe crossover. So I think I'm just going to have to set up a display case with just the crossover figures in it. Because they don't,
Yeah.
I'm
They don't
wondering how
fit
far the
anywhere.
crossovers are going to go into GI Joe.
Santa Prime. Where does he go? Where does Santa Prime go? Where's
Don't move
Hanukkah
him too
Box,
much. He'll break.
Right? Stuff like this.
Well, the Holiday Prime, there are a lot of toys
Oh, yeah.
that they do holiday versions, so you could stick it with your holiday Star Wars and stuff.
I only collect the vehicles.
Hmm.
Speaking of which, the Ghost is blowing it out of the water. If you want to get the HasLab Ghost, it ends tonight at midnight.
Is that a joke? Is it going really poorly? Or is it actually going really well?
It's super. Yeah, met all the goals, everything.
Oh, wow.
Everything's
Yeah.
unlocked.
20,000 out of needed 8,000.
Yeah, but
I don't even know what this
jumped
is.
like 8,000 in the last day.
That's typical.
It's
I literally
a
have no idea
Patrick
what this
Swayze
is.
crossover.
We haven't gotten this guy again, except for the
There's
Shattered
a
Glass.
HasLab?
Yeah.
Speaking of opening stuff, I haven't opened any Shattered Glass figures ever. I'm just waiting till they're all in the same spot for me to open.
So, to bring it back on topic a little bit, so Lucas, what do you think about this shift, or where would you rather see them go if you don't like this? Hey, we'll take characters from other lines and shove them into a G1-ish aesthetic.
I don't know. Like, that's what I'm still trying to debate, whether or not those specific figures are something that I even want to collect. You know, I feel like with this new shift for me personally, like I've tried to pick and choose, you know, some of the figures. Like I haven't actually gotten, like I used to buy everything, and so I've actually shifted away from that. But then, you know, part of it too is that I feel like a lot of these, like, I don't know if they don't sell well or whatever, but they seem to be available on that Hasbro Pulse sale. So like that's the other thing is that I just figure if it's not G1, I should be able to get it on sale.
Is there? Let me throw this out to the group. Is there any character not from G1 that hasn't been done in Generations yet that you'd like to see done? From any line, Unicron trilogy,
RID combiners,
movie, Prime, animated, wherever. Peter.
Gotta go with the RID combiners.
Robert?
That works.
No.
No, you don't care.
No.
Lucas.
So I don't know if it counts as G1 or not, but like the, you know, some of the European figures, and what's that?
That's definitely G1, by the way.
The Machine Wars stuff too, like
Okay.
Those as well.
Right. No, good choices. I guess it's just me. I'm kind of craving a animated Sentinel Prime in a chug style.
Yeah.
I just like characters
that are
big
chin,
fat
though.
jerks. That's all.
I mean, I love animated. I need to rewatch that show, see if it holds up. But I have those toys. I still have that line, you know. So it's just I'm kind of good. I don't know if it has an audience anymore. You know, there are people that are nostalgic for it or whatever that would be hardcore interested in it. I do think some characters though have gone. Well, maybe I shouldn't say characters, but like Bulkhead at least I think has gone beyond animated. You know, and exists. That's where he started, absolutely. But you know, I think he lives past it. But Lockdown has. I don't think like Samurai Prowl has though. You know, I think he's still kind of stuck there. Slick, I don't think has went anywhere. You know, Keytar, Soundwave hasn't went anywhere.
You brought up animated. The symmetrical safeguard, Deathstorm and Jetfire.
Oh yeah, that would be very
fun.
unique thing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That was a fun figure.
Yokitron.
Like the stuff I would want to see is more just weird deep cuts from old stuff. You know, like again, like the unproduced G2 colors or other like weird unproduced G1 stuff like the Skywarp Megatron triple changer thingy. Maybe it was even more than a triple changer. Was that a quad changer?
Ooh.
You know, or the what is it? There's some. It's like what was it? A camel or a horse transformer, something like that. That was back in the G1 era that they made prototypes of.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then of course, I still want to see this as an actual transforming figure. Please, at any size, preferably large. But, you know, I'll take what I can get.
The toy version of Unicron.
The
Super 7 one.
I had that thing sitting on my desk for a few years. I'm good.
Shut up. Wasn't that thing like falling apart at this point?
I don't know how well something like that would sell. I mean, just the proportions alone, I don't think it would sell.
Never say never.
And still be accurate.
HasLab can do anything.
I mean, unless maybe they did. I mean, maybe if they did a crossover with Popples.
If they made the 1986 Unicron that transformed the prototype that's been floating around, they made one that was mass marketed or even HasLab, that thing would sell. That thing would sell. People would buy it up just for the kitsch factor, you know?
Maybe.
Yep.
People bought Robeson Prime.
Maybe.
People buy some weird stuff, man, but not Cookie Monsters.
But not Cookie Monster. He can go fuck himself.
Maybe if they cross over with Popples and then redeco it into Mad Balls.
I was reading a comic book the other day.
That is a good
Garbage
question.
Pail Kids,
That one surprised me. Yes.
What about Garbage Pail Kids?
There's a comic out right now. I suggest you guys pick it up. It's pretty great. If you like schlock, it's Garbage Pail Kids versus Mad Balls.
How could that not be anything but schlock?
If you like 80s schlock, that's right up your alley. Spend $6 and get yourself a copy.
Gross out is not an aesthetic that I'm keen on.
That reminds me. That reminds me. Since you bring up Garbage Pail Kids, not to get too far off topic, but did you guys hear about the new Toxic Avenger?
Peter Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage. Peter Dinklage is Toxie.
Yeah, he's a
Wow.
great actor.
That's
He's gonna
wild.
kill it.
Happy.
That movie has
I know. I can't
that's
wait.
a star-studded cast in that movie.
I feel a really big box
I know.
office bomb coming on, like loss leader for the year. You know,
They're talking it might make
I don't know.
Pixels money.
I do feel like this is pretty off topic. I will
Yeah.
say when we're speculating about the new,
Yeah, just a bit.
you know,
I got a question that's a different interpretation of the topic, but on topic. You know, like we've seen a lot of aesthetics of Transformers throughout the year. So like, if we did like a quick review, so like first we're literally throwing random toy lines together and branding it Transformers, and then holy crap, it's selling well. So who else has a transforming toy that we can also throw under this brand? So there was no real uniform aesthetic at the beginning. It's just random toy lines. You know, then we get what was his name? Floro Derry, is that right? Of the movie, and I think that like gave a big aesthetic for a year or two. You know, and then G1 kind of went on with his blocky stuff. Then you get late G1, which is literally bricks, which, you know, go on into Brave. To be honest, it's where that kind of.
And then we stop them transforming altogether.
Yeah. Then we skip ahead a bit and we get to what I always thought of as the ball joint era. You know, with Beast Wars happens, ball joints happen, and now the toys look completely different because of it. You know, so we get all the Beast stuff.
I mean, Action Masters did it first, but you know.
True enough. But you know, plastic ball joints and just really organic looking stuff. We start getting a lot of shell formers, especially with like the Beast Wars second Neo stuff. And then, you know, Car Robots comes out, which says, hey, what if we took shell forming ball joints and made them vehicles again? Yeah. So that stuff happens. And then we get Unicron Trilogy, which I feel has like almost no unique design cues to them. And Armada feels like a little bit blockier, chunkier to me, and a little bit more like brighter colors, like simple, solid color shapes. But as Unicron Trilogy goes on, it's like they learned how to do Transformers again. You know, like they start getting a little more detailed, a little bit more complex.
The Minicons, though.
Yeah, those were dope.
The Minicons really stood out.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
You know, so we get through Unicron Trilogy, and then we get Animated. Animated to me is just one of the most distinct aesthetics that we had seen. I remember at the time, at least, the team was really, really like proud of what they had achieved. Like they were talking about how are you supposed to make a toy that looks like this? And they're like, holy shit, they did it. And they were just, you know, they all thought it was really clever. Of course, at the same time, we also get the Bay movie aesthetic, as much as you want to call it as an aesthetic versus, you know, hey, what if we shattered some glass and spray painted it gray? You know, also that's how they wrote those movies. They took random words and printed them on things and then smashed it, and the resulting mix made the scripts. But it's true facts, just true facts. You know, then Animated did kind of lead into.
I have to say though, not just real quick, I have to say that, you know, speaking of Bayformers, Revenge of the Fallen into the Hunt for the Decepticons and that whole era was beautiful. One of the best figures I've seen.
Like you've said this before, Jim, and it always stuck with me because I think it's very true. Is yet that era of like movie figures, they were finally happy to say, hey, what if we made them not all just be exactly like humanoids? You know, like with just typical, you know, 2 legs, arms, and a head and shoulders. You know, like they got a lot wackier with it. Even ones that still had, you know, 2 arms, 2 legs, they put them in much more different shapes versus, you know, more of a typical human stature. But yeah, so like the animated thing, they like, what if we
Skids and Mudflap? I mean, despite the controversy.
Well, that wasn't the design team. That was the studio.
Yeah, it was something else that ruined them. Had nothing to do with the transformations. But so then we get into, the Prime, and which I think Prime kind of went into the next Rid 2, and into Cyberverse. That, hey, instead of being curved like animated, what if we made it kind of more angularly, in a way, and that's kind of where we are today. Meanwhile, we got the Generations toy line, which doesn't even have a show, that is doing its own thing as well. But like, we've went through a lot of aesthetics. I think it would be interesting. Like, there have been times in there where there's
important one.
Oh,
the bots.
I knew you were gonna say bots, and I was like, I'm just not even gonna. I was like, maybe he's got something better, but no. Like, it feels like there's been really big shifts, at times. G1, and then the ball joints starting with Beast Wars, and then animated and the movie style, and then kind of the Prime and Cyberverse style. Like, those all really stick out to me as pretty distinct if you like zoom out enough. Like, are we going to get another aesthetic, that has toys made of it, at least, that is something really different? Or like, which aesthetics do you like? Or do you think we shouldn't move away from some of those aesthetics? Like, no, we should stick to just G1 cartoon and Prime, the Prime Cyberverse style. And that's it.
I think it's going to be real tough to get something like animated again.
One thing. Well, yeah, I agree. Well, one thing I enjoyed, though, that just they just used recently, was the return to the exosuit. It's the Rise of the Beast, and it was like, and I'm sure all of you have seen the film by now.
Nope.
2-3 months.
Nope.
But just that battle, I was just imagining, what a Diaclone movie would have looked like. To have convoys there and little dude in the exosuit. You know what I mean? Just massive battle going on in the background, drones getting killed. I mean, that's what was on my mind as I was watching it on the big screen there. I was like, this is just like a massive callback to Diaclone, or if you will, like a more recent line, Energon Kicker, I suppose.
But in reality,
that's what I got from that, and I really enjoyed that.
But in reality, their inspiration were the Delta 6 accelerator suits from G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra.
Oh, of course.
Hasbro's flagship property, G.I. Joe, that they love, and that they definitely haven't ever just dumpstered to the side for several years and pretend don't exist.
The crown jewel.
Never forgive Hasbro for shitting the bed.
By extension.
Hang on a second, Jim. I can never forgive Hasbro for shitting the bed when it came to the 50th anniversary of G.I. Joe.
Hey, listen, they had a Google Calendar event set for that, and they slipped through the notification bell on it.
Yeah.
So, my bad.
Yeah, I kept saying 50th anniversary. How many toy lines get to 50 years? How many toy lines get to 50 years? We got to do something pretty big. We got to do something pretty amazing. We're going to make the flag. We're going to make the flag, everybody. We're going to make the flag.
I would love to see them do the flag as a HasLab just to see if it would happen. Like, I mean, I have no interest in it, but I was like, are the G.I. Joe fans really there, and do they have deep enough pockets and are willing, to put their money where their mouth is? Like,
I'm curious, what is the flag if they did one?
Are enough of them left?
What would that be priced at?
Yes, Lucas. Yes. You just give a credit card number, and that's it. Like, they don't
tell you. You add the one and they fill in the zeros.
They say we will bill you in installments, and you say how many installments, and they just say yes. And like, of how much exactly?
How long do you plan to live?
All of them.
Yeah. Well, listen, I am going to have to check out. I got an early day tomorrow, So good seeing everybody. Good talking. You guys continue discussion. Talk about me if you want. I don't care.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Thanks, Rick, for joining us. I appreciate it. I know you went longer than you wanted, so.
I know. I went longer than I was contracted for.
Yeah,
But, you know.
Your overtime check will be in the mail.
I want to make the fans happy. So I want to make the fan happy, you know.
There you go.
I want Zeldron to be okay. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much. Continue the topic. I'm signing off.
Bye.
Thanks, Rick.
See ya.
Good to see you too, man. Been far too long. Take it easy.
Yeah, if I had to pick an aesthetic for them to go to, like honestly, it would be. Oh my God, I've already blanked on the name of it. The Lost Link or whatever, Missing Link.
Missing
is
link.
to go down into something like that where it is chunky, blocky G1 aesthetic, but with modern articulation. Like if they went deep, I don't think they're going to do it, but I would be all about it. I'd love it. Like imagine G1 Star Saber,
too far
but
into
articulated. You know, imagine. How would you? I don't know how you'd articulate Grandis, but I want to see it.
Like you're just reissue.
But I think you got to give him new joints. But I don't know, I think that would be really fun to me. And even though it's deceptive, but like there's actually some really articulated figures. Like I mean, maybe like 5 in the whole G1 line, but like Galvatron is really articulated for the era, like way more than almost anything else. You know, it's But then you got toys that I'll just say it that are just honestly complete trash, like Runabout and Run Amok. Those toys suck. They're garbage. You know, it would be interesting to see.
Rob, those were
they were based around the gimmick though.
Exactly. Like I'm wondering what you could do with that kept it in the G1 style. You know, that wasn't just a modern update on the figure. I mean, like I still love the Collectors Club / BotCon versions of Runabout and Run Amok, based off the Generations Tracks mold. And I know they've done a new one from a real recent one. I haven't picked that up. So I love that, but it would be cool to see like what they could do with some of that stuff that was kept in a more basic shape form. Like just really scratch that nostalgia itch that we all have before, we finish our transition into the grave, as me and Peter like to mention. We're going in one direction here, people. That's, if we don't kill the planet first, which that's not looking good. Not looking good, friends. I mean, I've already had the weather literally try to kill me with lightning. We had our electrician come out after I shot lightning out of my hand, and he's like, yeah, these 2 breakers in here took the brunt of it. He's like, if not, if nothing else, you would have definitely been out on your ass. So it's fucking scary. But anyways.
I mean, if you would stop saying Shazam all the time.
I guarantee you I wasn't. But so yeah, what would y'all pick? If you even can.
I'm a G1 grandpa.
I mean, yeah, I do think the Missing Link is really interesting. It's like a new direction in, I mean, I guess the aesthetic is old, but it's, I don't know, it is something different than like what the other lines are giving us.
It's literally the oldest direction they could go.
Right.
But it feels fresh. It's give me a reason to buy G1 Optimus Prime again, literally G1 Optimus Prime again.
Well, I think, they do all these masterpieces that are toy accurate. Well, like, the Missing Link is like the most toy accurate you can get. Well, no, they do show accurate, like animation accurate, but then they also release a toy version.
Oh, a different deco and all that.
Yeah, like a different deco that's more toy accurate. Well, this is like the most toy accurate you can get, but still have that masterpiece articulation, so...
I've got it. They could do Ironhide and Ratchet, toy accurate and cartoon accurate, with and without heads.
I don't know how that's physically possible.
I think they could do something where
I'd
you
love to
flip
see
the
what they
head
would do.
down. You know what I mean? Like you flip a head up or down or whatever to do that.
I honestly don't know what they would do that wouldn't just end up being, masterpiece style design, or like whatever the most recent Ironhide they've done in the main line, because I know they did the Generations one, which sucked. It kind of got us there, right? But let's be real, the toy also still sucked. We were happy for it though. And then they did whatever the Siege one was, which like somebody gave up 3/4 of the way through. Like, have y'all seen that picture of the horse where it talks about design, and it's like, at the beginning the horse is really detailed, and by the time it gets to the end it's a stick figure of a horse. Just talking how people put all the quality up front, and then as time goes on it gets shittier. That's how I felt Siege Ironhide and Ratchet were. Just like they got to them like, ship it. But they've made better ones now, right? They took like half of that and remolded the bad half. Right. They finally finished the project. 5 years later, okay, we should finish that design now and re-release it. I don't know what they would do for Missing Link Ironhide. I think that's, like they could take that figure and just give it some more joints, although the little shitty robot part has plenty of joints in it. But I don't know. They also kind of suck at the same time, so I don't know. It's definitely an interesting quandary, though. It looks like we lost Jim. I noticed he was getting more. He was getting more and more delayed.
Yeah, he was getting delayed. I wasn't sure if it was me. I was reluctant to. Nope.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
He's trying to join. What about you, Lucas? Where would you take it? So Peter and I are both on the Missing Link. Let's see more of that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel the same way, that either that or more of I guess somewhat similar to like what 3-0's doing, or 3A, or what, I don't know, whatever you call them, where it's like kind of like a Neo G1, like it's a different, like kind of updated modern aesthetic. Or like even IDW, or it's just something like that. Something where it's reminiscent of the G1 figures, but in a super stylized design. I think that'd be kind of interesting too.
Do you want Classics 07 again?
I mean, not really.
Okay. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Okay. I don't know.
It looks like you're delayed.
Something on my end. Okay, yeah, there's something on my end that was going on, but your audio just froze, and it was like a CD skipping rapidly. The video was fine. I had to.
That was just us rapping and beatboxing like we always do. It's normal for us here.
So you weren't saying at like 20 beats a second?
Oh, absolutely were. Actually, I think it was 25 beats a second is what I had the mixtape set at. So.
So Jim, where would you like to see the Transformers line go aesthetically?
Well, aesthetically, it's honestly hard to say for sure. It's went so many places over the decades. And as much as I love, what's come before, I would hate for things to get stale. I would always want for there to be some kind of new innovation, some kind of new spark put into the line to take it where it's never been. Some new avenue to explore.
Are you wanting a crossover with Star Wars or Star Trek? That's what it sounds like. To boldly go for no Transformers line.
I would love Fortress Tiberius. Are you kidding me? That would be fantastic. But really though, I just like we mentioned earlier about, like I was saying, with Revenge of the Fallen and Hunt for the Decepticons and things like that were so kind of off the wall, or animated Safeguard with the Jetfire symmetrical docking. Things that aren't done commonly or that haven't been done before. Was that a cat?
Yes, this is Yoshi.
Kitty.
Him's a big kitty.
Right. Hi, kitty. But no, it's just to take it someplace new and explore some new avenue that they haven't done. I don't quite want to say to necessarily go away from, you know, like the evergreen that they're focusing on now, where you've always got a Starscream, you've always got an Optimus, you've always, you know what I mean, always got a Bumblebee. But at the same time, I wonder, what if they explored, you know, elsewhere on Cybertron during the war, you know, where, you know, Orion and all that were on the opposite side of the planet, and, you know, some other battalion, or, you know, just something that's removed but yet familiar at the same time.
You want a requel?
Not necessarily. I mean, it doesn't even have to be a specific point in the lore. You know, it doesn't have to be, you know, during the original war on Cybertron, or, you know, through a portal, like we saw with Beast Wars. They went through Transwarp and ended up on prehistoric Earth. When they did that, that was outside the box. We were used to G1. We were used to Neon G2. You know, so they went someplace that the brand has never been before. Then, you know, I want something along that same spirit to happen again, and I think something like that could help rejuvenate the brand more than what the movies do from time to time, every few odd years, or, you know, what a new video game like Devastation might do, you know, during the Prime Wars trilogy. You know what I mean?
Like, I think that's why, at least for me, one of the reasons animated. I mean, there's a lot of reasons animated worked. You know, at the end of the day, I think it's because the directive team behind it, the creative team behind it, like, loved Transformers, right? And they were talented at what they did. You put that together, you get great product every time. It's just the way the world works.
They're absolutely fans.
But like,
R.I.P. Derek Wyatt.
Yeah, but like, it was that, you know, it was more of a fish out of water, you know, compared to a lot of the stories we get. Like, yeah, there's Autobots and there's Megatron and there's Optimus Prime, but like the construct of it had a lot of similarities, but it was also a lot different. You know, Decepticons were actually a problem.
Did so well. It did so well. I mean, like you mentioned, Optimus Prime, he was a Prime. He wasn't a Magnus. You know, Primes and Magnus were like ranks as opposed to strictly names.
Yeah, and he, you know, like, yeah, it's in a way it's the Optimus Prime, you know, because he's, you know, very honorable, and, you know, freedom is the right for all. Like, but he's young and he's unsure of himself and he doesn't know what he's doing. You know, he's learning, you know, as we go along with this, you know, bunch of group of other people that have mixed backgrounds that all kind of don't know what they're doing, and oh shit, a Decepticon appeared.
Right.
You know, we're in trouble.
And even that aspect, you know, where it's like it's Optimus when he's still green, when he's still a rookie, you know, even that is starting to become kind of samey nowadays. We've done, you know, from G1's War Dawn, we did the War for Cybertron, you know, we did the War for Cybertron trilogy. You know, we did animated with, you know, Optimus starting out with Bulkhead and them. You know, so I mean, we've revisited that a few odd times. You know, they did it in the comics.
So what's next?
You know, but where else can they go in a brand that's supposed to always and forever be about change? You know, without becoming stale.
I think you have to find people that are passionate about the brand, and have big creative spirits and
excite me again.
You know, and like, I feel that's why John Roberts took off as well. I've mentioned beforehand, like, you can find letters he wrote to the fan clubs back in the 90s. Like, so, like, dude's been in it from the beginning. And that's why, and obviously he's good at what he does. And what did he do? He's like, well, what if I make Rodimus take a crew of a bunch of, you know, maybe a couple of A-listers, but mostly a bunch of B and C tier characters, and they just go off on space adventures that has nothing to do with anything.
Stormbringer, right? Wasn't that Stormbringer?
No, More Than Meets the Eye and Lost Light.
Okay.
Yeah, that's James Roberts.
Oh,
you know, so it's such
I was thinking Stormbringer.
Nah. So, like, it's still very much, you know, like, it fits and it works, and, you know, people know what it is, and we have connection to the characters. Like, the general, they're all new and different, you know, in a way, but the broad stare, like, guess what? Ratchet's a medic, you know. Hot Rod's kind of cavalier and kind of, you know, shoots from the hip, you know. Ultra Magnus is, you know, stiff and whatever. Honestly, I feel like I used to not think he was that stiff of a character until James Roberts wrote him and really hammered home that trope. You know, like, it went back and altered how I feel about him in the 80s, you know. in a good way for me, but it happened.
Or
So,
even
I think
still,
that's one of those work.
Yeah. Even if they didn't go, a new direction, what if they explored some place that's or some story that aspect that's been briefly mentioned in passing, but never really fleshed out, never really looked into. I just happen to think back. What about Botanica's crew, Beast Machines? What was that war like?
If you're going to do it,
they all of them were plants, right? Supposedly, according to the dialogue. I mean, that sounds cool. I'm thinking like Little Shop of Horrors, but to the nth degree. I mean, give us Audrey too.
I like that idea. Although I would say if I was going to pitch that idea, I probably would try to find somebody that wasn't as hated as Botanica was by a decent amount of the fandom at the time. Like I wasn't a hater of it, but I know
give them a reason to like her. Give them a reason to like her. Flesh out the character. Explore that avenue.
Yeah.
Is she the only sole survivor from her team, or are the rest of them stranded? Is she dealing with any kind of trauma, flashbacks, anything? Makes you wonder. What if? Hey, there we go. A Transformers what if. Transformers zombies.
So
we've had Transformers zombies.
I guess are there any other
they're fun.
aspects that we want to hit on tonight? Like, is there any other directions we want to go, or do we think we're good?
It did have some comments in YouTube chat. Ron asked what I thought about fans toys embracing tone accuracy, and we mentioned earlier talking about how the Masterpiece line has changed its aesthetics over time, but I do think that at this point the line has found what it wants to be, and while they may iterate on that and get and make adjustments and more and less paint type of things, more and less alternative parts to maybe look toy or whatever. I think in general tune accuracy is the name of the game now for that line, and I think that's going to stay. And I think for the third party companies, it was, if you want to still contribute to this line, you're going to have to match that as well. And I think it becomes hard for companies, especially for fans toys, because there are enough vocal people that are like, oh, I want the old fans toys that had shiny chrome parts and everything. And there's other people, another vocal, enough of them, although I don't think they have YouTube review channels, though they're like, hey, I want it to look more like the cartoon. I want the dull gray, or maybe white, instead of shiny silver chrome parts. And fans toys is really inconsistent at this point. It's like figure to figure, they don't know what they want to do. And so I got Powerglide here. He's very much cartoon colors, like a bright cherry red, and white on the stuff. But if I go get Huffer, right there, he's shiny, and he has that metallic flake orange even, and like the chrome arms I can get, but why is his orange? I don't know. It's just they can't decide, and figure to figure they change it up because they can't. I feel like they're just well, if this release will make this person mad, on this release will make the other person mad, but as long as we don't piss them both off at the same time, it'll keep them in the line, and they'll just keep buying. But
well, I'm curious on some of those types of figures, when were they originally designed, and does that play into it at all? Where maybe the Huffer mold or something was designed, and previously, and that you just couldn't switch to full tune without really revamping the figure. So they're just oh, screw it, we'll release it the way it is.
From an aesthetics point of view at this point, I feel especially most of the designs that are left, not all of them, but most of them are from after it was obvious the line was going in that direction. Right. And with Huffer, at least as him as an example, it's just his paint job. That's really the difference. The toy looks the way that looks accurate. It even has the goofy arm or shoulder that's really down the middle of his arm. It's got that thing going on. It feels like they just can't figure out how they want to paint their mini bots, especially, or even some of the other stuff, because like their Perceptor had random shiny parts on it, kind of, or the colors were too dark. Is that what it was? I can't remember. I didn't buy it. It was just a little too. So yeah, they can't make up their mind. So it's a roulette every release. I don't know.
But they
Either
do
way, though,
reissues on occasion and fix the colors, so
they do.
Or make adjustments. Or sometimes they do reissues like with Lupus, where they make no adjustments, but everyone expected them to make adjustments, and then they're disappointed.
For people that
a reissue of what now?
Lupus.
They're Weird Wolf.
Oh.
I mean, the people that wanted that should just be happy that it was coming back out, because if you wanted a Masterpiece Weird Wolf, that's still your only option. And I don't remember the specific number. I just know the price was stupid on eBay, and especially when it's not that great of a toy. That's like one of fans, like Perceptor. Their original Tesla was pretty bad, and they've replaced that now. Their original Sea Spray was pretty bad. They've replaced that now. Like those two always stood out. Lupus doesn't stand out to that degree by any means, but like you can tell that the engineering, it's that horse image again. They like gave up on the engineering. Mm-hmm. You can tell that like the back part of the legs when they folded up are like supposed to tab in, and you can see that they started designing for it to do that, but they don't tab in. They just stopped. And like, you know what? It's Friday. I'm ready to go home. Just fucking send it to tooling, man. It's good enough. It looks like a wolf thing, I guess, as much as anything in Transformers does. At least for the G1 era, right? So they just said ship it. But you know, there's always little improvements they can make. Like I didn't notice this until Fans Toys did their blaster. You know, so it's funny. Rick kind of opened up asking about that. But the Fans Toys blaster isn't symmetrical when it's in tape mode. And I was like, why isn't the chest tape in the center of the tape deck? I'm like, that's weird. And then you go back and you look in the animation model and you find out that's accurate. Yeah. And it's like, oh man, I didn't even realize it. And so their toy has non-asymmetrical transformation in it. Yeah. And no one else has done that. You know, not before or after. It's always, the transformation is always very symmetrical, but instead with him, you got to like shift his crotch over in the middle of it, you know, to offset that stuff or something like that. I didn't pick it up. I picked up the DS one, but that little bit of incremental improvement makes me want the Fans Toys one. You know, that's just how I'm broken. I just haven't done it yet.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of tough too, where you almost want to collect a character, you know, just to kind of see all the different versions that the third parties can do.
Well, you go do that with like Cup, and get through a couple of those like third party cups that came out that were real trash. That was. I feel like the Toy World one was really bad, and Toy World is and Toy World's generally a good company for what it's worth, but I don't know.
They had a couple.
Sometimes you miss
that were Friday specials, like you were talking, Rob.
Ship it.
You're just like, were they going for a lower price? They had an RC as well that was like pretty rough.
Yeah, they just didn't
literally the back half.
Yeah.
Like we all know, yes, a G1 RC, she's probably, you know, her waist is in the back typically, and her hips are on the sides. Like we kind of get that, but like you try to make it look like a car, and they're like, what if her ass hanging out past the seats? Her exhaust is literally her farting. Like it's just lined up, you know. She is very much gas propelled. Yeah, they just gave up, man.
So instead of RC, she's RC.
I think that's the joke.
RSEY.
RC.
I'm just making sure I'm catching up with the rest of the class there.
I like it. RC. Because you see that arse.
Well, Yeah, I think we went for a
I
while
like
here.
big box,
So,
and I cannot lie.
I do want to mention, I guess Anna's Anime Academy, coming up this weekend on Sunday night on the TF Talk Discord at 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern. It's gonna be Super God Master Force episodes 25 and 26. So join them for that. They've been going pretty deep in there. How many episodes are there, Super God Master Force?
It's like 42.
52, I believe. Is it
You're
42?
wrong.
They're getting there.
Is that
Yeah.
without the clip shows?
This clip shows, yeah.
Generally, you skip over those. There's usually like literally nothing of value in them. Like they're straight up, like modern U.S. sitcoms. If they do a clip show, although I don't think they really do them anymore, unless in an ironic way. But back when we used to get those, they would like bookend them with like some new material.
Yeah.
Right.
Remember the time we...
Yeah. Then
This
these clip shows
reminds
don't
me
even
of
do
when-
that. It's literally just, hey, here's what happened in the past 15 episodes in case you missed it. Anyways, continue.
Cool. All right. Well, I think that's pretty much it. I don't know. Does anyone have anything they want to add before we wrap?
I like robots.
Same.
Robots are cool.
Nothing really newsworthy that I can think of.
Fair enough.
Has anyone else has anyone else that has picked up the Legacy Armada Optimus? Anyone else run into a defective elbow?
That was one of the few molds I have not picked up. So yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Well, it's the elbow, the left elbow joint, the gray piece in the smaller bot, the cab bot that has the smokestack on it. The fella I got this off of ran into an issue where they had two left elbow joints installed in the figure, and as a result, you couldn't bend the elbow at the one point where it needed to in order to combine for the super mode. And so he contacted Hasbro, and they sent him another one that ended up having an identical issue, the very same elbow joint. So he put this other one out there, said whoever wants it, just pay shipping. So I was able to snag this one for basically $20 and disassemble it and shave it down to it's like a 45-degree angle from a 90-degree angle. So I didn't know if that was like a widespread problem or if it was just a fluke, two bots in a row type of thing. So that may be a thing folks might want to watch out for when getting that Commander class figure. I guess be on the lookout.
Yeah.
Kind of like that weird paint thing with the Studio Series B face. Other than that, I can't think of anything.
Peter, for you, do you have that figure, but it's still sealed in a tote somewhere, and so you may never know? Schrodinger's elbow.
Yeah, it's Schrodinger's elbow. It's not in a tote. It's in a pile in the living room.
Okay.
So I might get around to opening it.
It's a neat figure. Interesting take on the classic counterpart.
Cool. Well, very good. Well, thank you guys for joining me, and thanks to everyone in the chat. And we'll see everybody next week.
Bye.
Take care, guys.